believe in the future at 65%. So this really is a different spot. And I know we live here, we raise our families here, we work here, and so maybe we take it for granted, but I really hope you don't take this for granted, because as you go around the world, you look at the economies of the world, and there's a lot, if you listen to our meeting, there's a lot of people moaning and groaning about the future of America. You take all the problems of our country, I'd have always rather take these problems than any of the problems of the nations around the world. People talk about China, and a lot of the elite in our nation like the Chinese model. I said, well, why don't you go live in China? Because that Chinese model is not going to work. It is not sustainable. You can't have 1.3 billion people being ruled by an elitist class in the Communist Party. And the Communist Party knows it. And we keep, it's interesting, Madam Albright tells the Communist Party, she said, look, if you had an election today, you would probably win. You've done a good job. You've rebuilt China, you have high employment, things are going well, but that model is not going to work. The Chinese have huge structural problems, and a lot of it is the hidden debt that our nation, a lot of our reporters don't talk about. There's a huge amount of debt in China that is not going to be sustainable, and they have problems. You look at the challenges of India, and I like India's democracy. India has a bright future, but it's a very difficult place to operate. But India will continue to move forward, and they don't have the structural problems with China. Europe has very, very difficult problems. So you come back and look at the United States, we have huge embedded strengths in this country. We have an amazing future for this country. And the problems we have in our nation today are truly self-inflicted problems. You can't blame anybody on the outside for the problems we currently have. They're self-inflicted, we can fix them, and if the nation would follow the Texas model, we'll show you a good way to fix them. And it's individual freedom, economic freedom, and it's a state with low tax, low regulation, and optimistic outlook. That's how we're going to get out of these challenges and out of these problems. Which brings us to this conference today. If you look in North Texas, you look at our growth. You go back to when we started Alliance. Mike and I worked on Alliance, Mike Morrison and I worked on Alliance. It was an amazing partnership of how the public and the private sector came together to build this airport. And a lot of people don't realize that it truly was a partnership. And what's great about this partnership is it was the public sector. It was the Council of Governments of the FAA that came in, and they came to see me. They said, Ross, we have a regional airport plan. We were going to add 2 new runways at DFW Airport, build 4 new regional airports around DFW Airport. And Alliance, I think, was the third. Sphinx was the first. I think the first airport started. Then we built the McKinney Airport. Then you had a new airport down in Midlothian. Then Alliance was the second or third of that mix. And Alliance is going to be a GA airport. And the FAA done a study with COG, identifying sites for an airport. Long story short, we had the one site that COG and the FAA wanted to use for an airport. And they said, would you guys get involved? Would you donate land for an airport? And we had a reputation through the decades to donate land for highways and helping the communities get these big infrastructure projects off the ground. And I said, sure, I'd be glad to do it. I was a pilot at the time, real estate development. I thought it'd be a great chance to build an airport, an industrial park around the airport. And so this partnership was formed, and it was formed, if you go back to, and also a lot of people talk about going through tough times and going through a recession. I said, well, this might be difficult in North Texas today, but I'd rather have today than what we had 20 years ago. You go back to 1989, 1990, in the middle of the S&L crisis. And so you had the S&L crisis, the real estate crisis, the oil and gas crisis, and then the Cold War ended. And you had Tarrant County. When we started the Alliance program in Fort Worth, Tarrant County was the #1 job loss county in the United States. And that's how bad it was in the last cycle compared to where we are today. And so if you took those factors of where we were in the recession, and the political leadership we had in Fort Worth and throughout North Texas, we had a very good mayor of Fort Worth, Mayor Bob Boland. And so Mayor Boland would lead his council and led the council to support the Alliance program. We donated land for the airport. The city of Fort Worth, we had Jim Wright, who was our speaker. So we had the Speaker of the U.S. House in Fort Worth, Gib Lewis, Speaker of the Texas House in Fort Worth, and Governor Clements from North Texas. So at that moment, you had a pretty unique alignment of political power and effect on top of Fort Worth that allowed first of the industrial airport concepts in the country. And the idea was to develop an airport for the non-commercial business user. If you go back to World War II, you look at the great airports that came in World War II, Navy Dallas and Carswell Air Force Base. You look at those big industrial hubs we had, those two World War II airports, the concept was we needed a 21st century airport, an airport that could focus on those industries, to allow those industries to come into North Texas like we had in the old Navy in Carswell Air Force Base. And that's what Alliance evolved into. Now, Alliance became much more than just an airport program. So we started this in about 86, 87. We started working with Fort Worth aggressively in 87. We broke ground in May of 1988 and opened the airport at the end of December, basically 1989. So it was one of the fastest airports the FAA had built. It was this partnership model that allowed it to move. We donated the land, we did the engineering work, the environmental work, and what we did is we did everything we could privately, meeting every week with the FAA so they could review the work, make sure they knew where we were headed, and the FAA again could basically do real-time course corrections so that when the package arrived at the FAA, they could move forward through the system. And that's what moved our airport forward, and that's what made this project unique, and really it's still probably unique in the country from what I've seen. And we work around the nation helping other communities now develop their old military bases. And so it's a model that we were fairly familiar with. That's that partnership model that started Alliance. Alliance has grown to 18,000 acres in size. We have roughly 260 companies on Alliance today. This is a whole Alliance program. 33,000 people work in Alliance every day. We're about 40% developed, and we have a long, bright future in front of us to continue to develop more Texas. And we are developing every kind of product type of Alliance, from the industrial products around the airport itself. We then brought in Northern Santa Fe and built one of the largest unloading yards in the nation, and that linked the railroad and the airport together, along with Interstate 35. We then did State Highway 170, where we donated land again to the state, and they linked the Alliance Airport, basically the State Highway 114 back into DFW Airport. So if you take DFW Airport and Alliance Airport, they're 18 miles apart, 15 nautical miles apart, and 18 ground miles apart, with the 114-170 freeway system linking these two airports together. And that's that corridor that we market around the country and market around the world that's unique at this kind of great aviation assets in that corridor. The project has, as I mentioned, we have every product type going in. We have our retail is doing very well, multifamily is doing well, the single family is growing. We're seeing the industrial market come back. And then because of the size of the program, because of our partnership with Fort Worth, and really we're in the city of Fort Worth, we're in the city of Keller, the city of Roanoke, the city of Westlake, the city of Haskell, the city of North Lincoln. We're in lots of communities with Alliance. We're in Tarrant County and Denton County, two counties, and so a very complex political overlay above the area. But people work well together. The cities allow us to have very good zoning that allows us to attract in these really unique one-off users that we have in Alliance today. So with the airport, a very unique piece of infrastructure, the railroad yard being unique, then attracting the Texas Motor Speedway into the Alliance corridor. Again, a very unique piece of infrastructure. It really won't be duplicated again in this part of the country, probably in my lifetime. Then we brought the big user that kicked off the project was American Airlines. And American Airlines is a great supporter. We built a heavy maintenance base for American Airlines. And American Airlines is certainly going through difficult times today, but I believe that the new American that will emerge will be far stronger and better than what we currently have with the older American. And American is the only major airline not to go through bankruptcy. Their competition, in effect, had a huge advantage over American Airlines, and sooner or later they're going to have to go through this process. Right size American, and you'll see American come out with the right size airline, very new aircraft, I think a very competitive product. As you see it with the Alliance maintenance base, we have one of the newest maintenance bases in the nation, and already we see lots of activity with third-party maintenance providers. And I believe if American Fund does leave the Alliance, like they say, we think we'll be able to backfill it. It'll probably take a little bit of time. We'll backfill with great companies and continue to grow that maintenance base business at Alliance, because you have a great labor force here. You'll have all those American mechanics that are very, very good at what they do. They'll attract in good users to take advantage of all that talent. And even in the economy we have today, when we look at the unemployment numbers, you still have tremendous shortages in certain critical skills in the labor pool of our country. And aviation mechanics is an area that will continue to be in high demand. And I North Texas Aviation overall, DFW Airport, certainly a tremendous airport. It took great. So if you look at the leadership of Mayor Bowman to push the Alliance project through the system, look at the leadership of the cities of Fort Worth and Dallas to get DFW Airport done. And DFW Airport was originally envisioned was to be 4,000 to 5,000 acres. And the leadership of the community said, well, we want a bigger airport, and ended up at 18,000 acres. And it's become a tremendous hub for us. And again, with American going through their restructuring, you might feel it at DFW Airport, but American will come out very competitive, and that'll be good for DFW Airport. Jeff Fagan's doing a great job at DFW, and I'm excited about the flights we picked up. We're going to go DFW to Australia direct. It's a great flight. The new Emirates flight, the one from DFW to Dubai, is a great flight. More and more of these international flights we pick up, that'll be great for our community. We're a very international community. If you look at where North Texas work all over the world, we need this airport, we need that access. With the right amendment slowly going away at Love Field, you'll have a great new Love Field coming with the new terminals for Southwest Airlines. And so you've got, I think, a very bright aviation story here. And I remember, I grew up with Brandon. And so when I was a boy, everywhere we went was on Brandon. The day Brandon went bankrupt, my father told me, he says, go out to the airport. He goes, walk the terminal, walk the halls. He says, you need to visually understand what it's like to see with the company you grew up with went bankrupt. And I went out and I did that. And I remember just the pain of seeing such a great company go under. That's not going to happen to American Airlines. American will continue to move forward and continue to grow. But look, when Brandon went down, we were all worried. Look at what we came in its place, a company like American Airlines. So I'm excited about the future. I'm excited about the future of this country. I think we've got great days in front of us. Certainly the future of the state of Texas. We have outstanding leaders here, and the state will continue to grow and prosper. If you just look at the simple facts, over the past decade, Texas has generated more jobs than the rest of the nation combined. Well over 1 million jobs have been generated in Texas in the past 10 to 11 years. So we continue to have that job growth momentum. About 45,000 new jobs were generated in North Texas last year. We're adding about 1 million people every 7 to 8 years in the North Texas marketplace. We're at 6.5. When we started Alliance, we were at 3.5 million people. And a lot of people from around the country come look at Alliance and say, gee, this has been very successful. I said, well, we've certainly worked hard. We've got a great team. This project is in a very successful community. When we broke ground 20 years ago, we've added 3 million people to North Texas. So if 3 million people show up, you should do okay. When you have millions continue, the next 30 years, you'll have another 3 million show up. And so we have huge growth rates, which is good for our market, good for our economy. We have great infrastructure challenges. We'll continue to be challenged on our roads. We'll have to continue to push our road programs, our airport programs. And probably the biggest challenge will be our water programs, making sure that we're prepared. If North Texas is out of the drought, but hopefully we learned enough lessons last year to realize that we need to be prepared for a more severe drought than we went through. And hopefully our leadership is focusing on water. So if you look at our census, the current census on Alliance, just Alliance alone, to give you an idea of growth rates, the second fastest growing city in the country is Hazlet, Texas, on the west side of Alliance. The third fastest growing city in the nation is Keller, Texas, on the east side of Alliance. And Alliance, with our foreign trade zone, we're now the largest foreign trade zone in the United States. And so you have great growth patterns from a population standpoint, but also growth patterns from a trade standpoint in this Alliance corridor. And so we continue to see good activity for 2012, good activity all over North Texas. And we're excited about the leadership we have here. So please, when you see your public officials, make sure you thank them for the job they do. Being in public office these days is very difficult. They have great challenges. So thank our leaders, thank their vision, and then make sure when you vote, make sure you vote for optimistic leaders that are excited and want to work and build North Texas together. And politically, brother, one of the bigger challenges we have is we've got these two big markets in Dallas and Fort Worth. And one thing we're now trying to do is make sure that the leaders in Dallas and Fort Worth have the same vision for North Texas, so that when we go to Austin, we can talk with one voice. As our leaders know,